For the practice exercise 12.13 index of, we're going to write a recursive method called indexOf. It's going to accept two strings as its parameter, and it's going to return the starting index, so an integer, of the first occurrence of the second string inside of our first string, or -1 if not found. If that doesn't make sense to you, you can pause the video and read through this example. It's pretty good at illustrating what we need to do as well. So let's get into it. We're going to have a public. We're returning an int. It's called indexOf. We have our string s1, and we are just going to have a string s2. That's what I'm calling them, but you can name them whatever, of course. So what do we want to do? What's the idea here? Well, we have this right here, this target string, and we want to compare it to everything inside of here until we have like 3 like this. So we're going to recursively go through and compare. We can take whatever this is right here and compare it to the first 3. And then that's 2. The first, you know what I mean, the first 3. And then after that, if that's not the case, we can pass in a substring and do it with the next 3. And if that doesn't work, substring and do it with the next 3. And we're going to run this all the way down till the end until this is bigger than this, because if this word is bigger than the substring that we eventually are left with here, then we're just going to want to return -1 because we know it is not in here. So let's do that. That's going to be our base case. If our s1 dot length, the string here, is less than the s2 dot length, then we are simply going to return a -1. That's it. It's pretty simple. Otherwise, what else can we do? Well, let's say that we have this equaling to this. That's another case, right? Well, that's something we want to return, so keep that in mind. And another case, what else do we have? Well, we also have the case where if we don't have something equaling this, we need to go through and look through our substring again to find it. So let's do that recursively. Let's say we don't hit anything right here, right? We don't hit anything. So we want our recursion to be indexOf. We want to pass in our s1 dot substring, and we'll start at index1. So, you know, we push it forward a little bit, and then we have our s2 right here. But where are we going to put this? Where are we going to store this? We can't have this just out here floating. Notice how we want to kind of add every single time we're not in here. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. Or actually it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, because notice how we're starting at 0 here. So my apologies. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And at the 4th index, that's where we get our CK. So that's where we're going to want to return a 4. So is there a way we can tally this? Yes. We'll do int, and we'll just call this tally is equal to index of this. That means at the very end of this, we are going to have to return like a 1 plus our tally, like this. Well, what if so we do have it to where it's going to continuously go through here, right? So far. We have it so far it's going to continuously run through here. But we don't have it to where if it equals, right? This is just, you know, if it doesn't equal, this is if it doesn't equal, it's going to keep going. But what happens when we do have a match like this? That's what we're going to want to do right here. We'll have an else if, and we'll have else if our s1 dot substring, because we only want to compare the s1, or we only want to compare our 0th index inside of our substring, right? We want to compare, we want to get the, like if we look at the first one, we want to get only the first 3. We want to compare from the 0th index to this right here. So we are going to get our s2 dot length. That's pretty simple. That way we can look at just these 3 characters, just the length based on the second one. So we're going to have this, if it dot equals to our s2, then we're just going to return 0. We don't need to increment 1 because this is going to continuously add for us. So we have our if statement that is essentially going to return a -1 if we never hit anything. And then we have this else if that's going to return a 0 when we do equal something. So we can unwind from inside of here and just print out this addition. Now, there is a problem right here with this return statement. This return -1 is not really going to be used. We have to check it and see if we're going to print it out. And the way I'm going to do this is combining this return statement. So we want to return if our index is not equal, or if our index tally is not equal to -1. So we want to return if tally does not equal to -1, then we are going to want to return our 1 plus tally, right? Now, if our return is -1, that means we have nothing inside of here. We want to return a -1. This is another way to do an else if statement or an if else statement. So we have our essentially condition right here. We have it questioning the return. So it's going to return either this or this right here. This is like the else right here. So that's pretty much it. Let's see if we are able to run this, and I'll re-explain it if it passes correctly. So it passes 10 out of 10 tests. Let's go through it because there was a lot that we got to look at. So this is our header right here. Then we have our if statement because we know we want to run this all the way down, check everything. We only need to run it as much as this right here. So if our S2 is bigger than our S1 because we're reducing its size, we are going to return -1 because that's the value we're supposed to return if there's no match. Otherwise, let's say we do have a match, right? We have this else if statement, and this is just checking to see if there is a match. If there is a match, we are going to want to return 0. Think about it as the fact, if we have this matching right here, var, it's going to return 0 immediately. And if it happens on the next one, like this, we are going to want to add 1, which is handled down here, 1 plus our tally. And that takes us into this line. This tally right here, it's our index of. We are continuously shrinking this string, and we are comparing it to our S2, right? We're going to continuously run through here, and then when we unwind, we are always going to hit this return. So that means that we are going to immediately return a -1, as we have right here, or we are going to continuously add to this with here. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, as always, leave them in the comments below. I'll try to answer them. This one was a little bit confusing. So again, hopefully that helped.